Alright, so I've been putting off today's video for a while now, but I'm ready to finally film it. Oh, and I got new flags in the shop. Pretty cool. One of them fell because it's not being held up by pins, it's being held up by command strips. But this isn't a video about the flags, it's a video about the Datsun. So let's get the shop door open so I can get this car started and you guys can hear it. All right, let's see if we can get it to start on the first try. Funny enough, this key is actually a Toyota key, and starts this. Just make sure it's neutral. I think we're good. First try, nice. I'm lying, that wasn't my first try. I actually filmed a few other times, but let's get out of the car. All right, so since I have a wireless mic, I'm gonna place it next to the engine block so you guys could hear it. I'm not too sure how well the mic picked that up, but I'm gonna put it next to the turbo so you guys could hear the turbo sounds. Sorry, intake for the turbo. All right, so now on to the not so good stuff. So I don't know if this car has a spun bearing or a connecting rod snapped. I'm not too sure, but it's probably just spun bearing. These have oiling issues, so most likely that's what it is. It's not too major, but I was thinking while I have the engine out, I should just build it for higher horsepower and do everything I wanted to do. But honestly, with how light this car is, I don't think it needs a crazy amount of horsepower, and I'm not going to be racing this thing. I just want to have fun with it. But I did look into it. So the plan was to do a full build, which is like exhaust manifold, turbo, downpipe, new intercooler piping, new intake manifold that would be on that side, so it wouldn't have this crossover tube, fuel rail, fuel injectors, wiring harness, ECU, the whole nine. Super expensive. I think I was like at $10,000 more or less, not including the engine build. Yeah, it's pretty expensive to build one of these for high horsepower. And honestly, the car doesn't need that kind of power. With stock power, it's good. So the goal is to get the engine rebuilt to slightly better than stock and internals. Fix most of the oiling issues. I know that there's ways to fix it. The turbo does have to be rebuilt. Right now it's not smoking, but the other day that I started there was a lot of smoke coming. So I may get it inspected and see if it needs to be rebuilt. If it does need to be rebuilt, then it's not too hard to have that rebuilt. I'm gonna do the cooling upgrades as well with a new radiator, new fans, all that stuff. And just keep it mostly stock. Maybe I'll upgrade stuff down the road. But I do want to focus on one thing of this car, that is the suspension and braking. I do want to get new wheels because these look hideous. I'm sorry if you have these, but yeah, these are hideous and they're heavy as hell. All right, so I realized I was talking pretty fast going over that, but new wheels, get new suspension, new brakes. I do want to keep these stock suspension geometry since I heard that these cars handle amazing, but I do want to focus on getting it a little bit lower and getting brakes on it because these brakes are disc brakes and they're not sufficient for an RB25. As far as exhaust goes, I think I do want to get a nicer exhaust. Oh, it's right there. Nicer exhaust, maybe like, I don't know, some Skyline type shit, like a fat HKS exhaust or something. I don't know. I'll look into that later. But yeah, I do have to get the RB25 rebuilt. I do have to get new head studs, which are on back order from APR or ARP. I'm not sure which company it is that does those. I think ARP is the company that does, I don't know. One of those two companies does the head studs, and I do need to get new ones. They're on back order until July, so I don't want to take the engine out until it's ready to be built. So I'm just gonna wait to get all the parts to rebuild it and then send it out to get machined. Sucks, but I mean, hey, you win some, you lose some, and regardless of what's wrong with the engine, I still got a really good deal on this car because it's rust free, which is really hard to find on these. It already has an RB. Even though it's blown, it's still in there, which is the expensive part essentially, and it has the trans, the drive shaft, everything. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's super easy to rebuild, and it should just take, I think they said 3 to 4 weeks. I'm not gonna build it myself. Honestly, I built one engine and I never want to build one again. I'm just gonna send it out to get done. It's a lot easier and more precise than me building in a shop where I don't have precise measuring tools, to say the least. And if I send it out to get built, at least I'll know that somebody that knows what they're doing is doing it. So while we're in the shop, I do want to do a little update on the S14 because I haven't posted anything about it, but I was going to do one whole video with all the paint. But I am painting this car. I'm doing a video on that. That'll be out. It'll be out when it's out. Honestly, I don't know. This process is taking a lot longer than expected, but I was test fitting the Sabon carbon fiber hood. All that's really missing to get it painted is another layer of primer. I do have to sand this putty still, but another layer of primer, and then we can lay down the base coat, clear coat. And I got Blitz 03s finally. I do have 4 of them. The 4th one is somewhere laying around in the shop. I think it's next to the B if I'm not wrong. Oh yeah, this is the one that I took apart. But yeah, I got Blitz 03s. I got a really good deal on them. Specs aren't that great, but I am gonna step lip them up to 18. And yeah, specs aren't that great, so 18, go a little bit wider, and just make them look cool, because they already look pretty good, but they could look a lot better. This is actually S2K fitment, ironically enough. And I was gonna test fit them on, but the tire's just too big, and I know it would rub, so there's no point. I'm gonna step lip these up to 18, get them on the car. I do want to talk to my friends about doing Wickfest this year, since they might get a booth, and if they do get a booth, we can get my car in there and have it on the Blitz 03s with the new paint job, and people can check it out. So hopefully my friends can get a booth. If not, then I'll just take my car regardless as is. This car is honestly really good, like mechanically, so I think it'll make the drive to LA no problem. I mean, I did drive it to LA when I bought it, so I think it'll be fine. The only thing is I don't have working AC, so it's warm. But I think Wickfest is towards August, so I think it'll be a little bit cooler by then. But yeah, we're gonna get the car done hopefully soon. I'm gonna get the Blitz 03s rebuilt, slap them on the car. It's gonna look mint. Today's video is going to be kind of short. I do have another video coming this week as well. That should be up on Friday because I'm going to the track with the Supra on Thursday. And I'll go more into depth with what I did to the Supra to get it track ready, essentially track ready. But the car's already a pretty good track car, but I did have to do one minor thing and just one thing only. And hopefully the car should perform really good. So Supra is actually getting an oil change right now, but I'll talk more about that on the next video. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video at the track.